Lately, I've been trying to be on my phone less, but it's this constant battle between using it as a tool or some entertainment during lunch, and getting completely sucked into it, interrupting everything, destroying my productivity, ruining my sleep schedule, and completely controlling my life. Like, I'll be at the gym using it purely for music, and the entire time I'm there, I'm bombarded with texts, emails, and a million other notifications that make me want to grab my phone and throw it into a brick wall. I can't afford to be smashing my phone every week until I'm getting a lot more views. But after a little research, I think I found the one product that might be able to help. The 5th generation iPod Nano. But why is this one so unique? What features does it have that the other models don't? And could it have a place in my life 15 years after its release date? Thanks to the magic of eBay, I got my hands on this ancient relic, and over the course of the next week, I'm gonna put it through its paces, push it to its absolute limit, and find out. Here it is, an iPod. Growing up, all the cool kids at school had iPod Nanos. This one came out in 2009, and even then it was $150. I couldn't afford that, so I bought some cheap MP3 player instead. But look at me now. So that is an iPod Nano. I can't remember if I ever held one of these, but one of my best friends had one. I was so jealous. Okay, so this is the iPod Nano 5th generation, and this is the 8GB model. This should hold up to 2,000 songs, 7,000 photos, or 8 hours of video. It is 3.6 inches tall, 1.5 inches wide, and 0.24 inches in depth. On the bottom, it's got a 3.5mm headphone jack and that fat proprietary Apple charging port. It's got a 2.2 inch display that's 240 by 376 pixels, but what made the 5th gen iPod Nano so unique, it's the only one with these features, is it's got a built-in speaker as well as a camera on the back. This thing can actually record video. Let's get this thing booted up. Easier said than done. When buying old technology like this, there are always problems. The iPod I bought was used with third-party accessories, including the proprietary cable, and no matter what I tried, it wouldn't show up on my computer. I'm 90% sure the cable they sent me with the iPod doesn't do data. It is not connecting. Which is really annoying because I paid extra. The guy literally texted me asking if I wanted the accessories. I said I would need them, so I'm gonna run to Goodwill and just pray that they have one for like a couple bucks. Of course they didn't have it, so all the iPod had were these eerie videos the seller was kind enough to include. But eventually I got my hands on a working cable. I downloaded some absolute bangers, and the nostalgia hit me like a truck. I will say this isn't the music I would typically listen to. Nothing has been added to my Apple account since like 2014, and I think that was someone else in my family. But yeah, kind of fun not having the phone, not having anything to check, but still enjoying music as I go through the morning. I kind of like that. I had an iPod Touch like 10 years ago, and just hearing music from that era made me want to groove. The nostalgia was amazing, but just going through my morning routine, it started showing its age. So doing some stretching and some light exercising with this thing, some problems start to arise. There's only one time where my headphones actually came out of my ears, but there were multiple times where it just always feels like there's tension on the wire. Of course, the alternative is this has built-in speakers, but the audio sounds like it's coming out of a leather shoe. I think I need to pull out the classic technique where you put the headphones in and then you drop it down your shirt and then you pull it through. I forgot about this one. And then you're good to go. Maybe this is the strategy. Unfortunately, that didn't solve the issue. The goal with the iPod was to eliminate distractions, but when I took it to the gym, I don't think I went 5 minutes without fiddling with the wires. That was just infuriating. The entire workout, they were constantly slipping and moving around. A couple times they just fell out of my ear in the middle of an exercise, and the cord is like the bare minimum length to even possibly function. That's not really the fault of the iPod, but these headphones are horrible. I might have to fix that. That was a big point for smartphones. Bluetooth earbuds really are worlds better, but there were a lot of other features I was optimistic about. So one of the things I really like about my phone is I can use it to film in places I don't want to carry my full camera setup. The quality is definitely not as good, but it's good enough for me that if I'm driving or at the gym, I feel like I can intercut it with this camera, and it's not too jarring. So let's check out the iPod Nano. So this is my full-frame Sony mirrorless professional camera, and this is the iPod Nano. I wonder if you can tell a difference. Okay, so this is the iPod, just an audio-video test. All right, now I'm cutting to my phone. This is an audio-video test. But once again, we got the iPod, we've got my smartphone, and then we've got my main camera. Can you notice a difference? Looking back on the footage, it looks like it was filmed on an Etch-a-Sketch. It's not even sort of usable for me. Although it does have a little bit of a retro charm. This is definitely a niche issue, but as someone who does YouTube and likes to always have a camera on them, I could not use this regularly. While hiking, I actually saw a snake and grabbed a cool shot of it, but if all I had was the iPod, I definitely wouldn't have bothered. But if I'm trying to eliminate distractions, maybe that's a good thing. To get the most authentic experience possible, on day 4 I stopped carrying my phone entirely when using the iPod, stopped worrying about filming as much, switched to some better earbuds, and that's when the iPod really started to shine. So I just got done with a 30-minute run, and you know what? There kind of is something to using an iPod. I was able to just put it in my pocket, and it's so light I could run with it that way, which I would never do with my phone. And using these earbuds, they never fell out of my ear once. I didn't feel too much tension. I think as a running experience, I actually would prefer this with wired earbuds over my phone with Bluetooth earbuds. It's really close, but not having to hold something, I felt like I was able to just run. If I could find something in this form factor with Bluetooth, that would actually be a game changer. When I bought this device, I wanted something with as many useful features as possible, with as little distractions as possible, which is a pretty tricky thing to balance. Aside from music and a camera, the iPod Nano does have a lot of features comparable to a modern smartphone. First, you can put photos on it, but it can't take photos, which is kind of weird. I guess you could put a picture of your license plate or a password or something you need to remember, but I really don't think I'd ever do that. It has a radio, which is cool if you want to hear some different music. It's got an alarm, a clock, a pedometer, which I tested and is incredibly accurate, a stopwatch, notes, voice memos, games, contacts, password protection, and even a calendar that you need to sync manually with your computer to update. I think it'd be really funny actually using that. Whoa, you're asking me out on a date? Let me just check my calendar. It can also play back movies and TV shows, which could be handy on something like an exercise bike, but with a 2-inch screen, you can probably imagine what that experience is like. I think I'm gonna ruin my eyesight if I keep squinting trying to watch this. While this might have been a revolutionary device for its time, most of its features are pretty gimmicky now. Personally, I might use the voice memos or the stopwatch, or put a workout on the notes page, but really it just plays music. But with some good earbuds and a tiny form factor, it does that well. Although I still hate wired headphones. No matter how carefully I wrap them, they're constantly getting tangled, and I actually caught this moment just setting up a shot where they got snagged really bad. Oh gosh dang it. The biggest benefit is definitely just being away from constant notifications. It's not even a willpower thing. My screen time has gone way down lately. It's more just like, can I live my life for an hour and listen to a podcast or enjoy some music without being bothered? Maybe deep down, I just want to be a hermit. I don't know. If this thing had Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, could download music for offline play, and had the same form factor, I would use it all the time. But after a week, I'm starting to get a little sick of the songs I have, and I'd only be willing to buy more songs on iTunes if I was gonna fully commit to it and be done with Spotify, and I'm not there yet. So while it's not something I'm gonna be using every day, after finishing up the week, I loaded it up with some of my favorite podcasts, and I'm still grabbing it from time to time whenever it feels right. It's too outdated to be the perfect replacement I'd hoped for. It's definitely not for everyone. I don't know if I'm gonna touch it a month from now if I'm being honest, but I think there are some niche circumstances for the right person where it might make sense.